quick announcement at the end of the video. Make sure to watch till the end. Alright, so the first part is what we're going to be doing today is covering how the template pools or processor list work. Now we have a pretty good structure that we can work with this particular one. We can do a lot with it. There's a lot of different kinds of components and stuff like that that would be possible to actually do. So what I'm going to do is actually do something similar to how villages are generated. We're going to replace some of these parts with cobblestone or mossy cobblestone, and we can also do a whole bunch of other stuff like if we wanted to remove certain lights to maybe make it more random, we could do that. I've done it sort of in some of my other tutorials as well. So not like a huge amount of difference, but you might have noticed some things like the lights and stuff being missing on some, but always on others. Well, that was using the processor lists as well. Another thing that I want to do is randomize some plants. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and also put around the structure some grass, so we can actually go ahead and do that, and then we can replace the short grass with some flowers and stuff. So the first thing that we need to do is actually edit the structure, and we'll start with actually taking what we have here, replacing these parts, and we're just going to fill this in with grass here. This is our first step that we need to actually do. Because I wanted to do that grass thing and add different flowers and stuff and replace the grass. So what I'll be doing is basically going ahead and replacing the grass with some tall grass. So I need, or short grass. So I needed to get the grass from, I think, the natural blocks or something like that. I can't remember where they're located. What am I looking for? Natural. Short grass. There we go. We got some short grass. All right. So what we can do is we can go ahead and just place these randomly. And then wherever the grass is where the flowers might appear. And it will be completely random for what we can do. And I'm just going to be showing the randomization feature. I'm not going to go in depth on how all of it works because I don't know all of it, and it would probably take a while to actually do a tutorial, and this video is already like 20 minutes long, so I don't want to like be here like all day recording either. So but I will cover the randomization feature, and that should get you started. A lot of the feature that Minecraft uses is randomized, like for plants and stuff like that, for the structures as well as cobblestone. They randomize crops as well with it, and we'll be basically just going into the base game settings and basically going ahead and copying some code, and then I'll show you what parts do which and how it all works and stuff like that. So it'll give you a basic understanding of it. All right, so I think I'm pretty happy with this. Now, with the villager, I moved him away from the window because we were having some issues with the glass being connected to the block. So I basically just did that so it wouldn't mess up the window as well. So he was shifted a little bit over to the side there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to need the names of these blocks. So what I'm going to do is go into F3 and then press H and not G. G is for borders. I needed H for okay, so advanced tooltips should be H for the thing there, and then we can get the namespace as well as the registry for that block. So in this case, it's Minecraft colon hay block, and then we can go ahead and choose to replace that. So when you're going into the files themselves, what we're going to do is we're going to go, I think I have it on my desktop now. I'm on a brand new computer, so everything's a little bit chaotic finding things. I'm still trying to learn it. So desktop, and I'm trying to get to the run, I think the run folder. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the old structures that we had. And we're going to go ahead and just delete all these. We don't need them. And that way when we save, we'll be basically able to make sure that they don't have any issues when we're saving them, right? So we're going to delete those and just make sure everything is set up properly. And we're going to go save. And then for this one, I'm just going to save it as part, and then we'll update the structure files for that. So that part's all done. We're good to go on that part. The next thing that we need to do is basically go ahead and update the structures and stuff like that. We're going to delete both of these structures from here, and I know it gives us a warning that it will be interfering with one of our elements, and that's fine. We'll be importing them again and fixing that up. So I imported the two structures, and then we needed to go ahead and just make sure that the jigsaw block structure is set up correctly. So we needed to reassign the structure to the part for this one. And that should be good to go. We don't need to worry about the depth for this. This is a lot different than depth. So the next thing that we need to do is lock the element. Currently, there isn't a way to get around not locking it. We need to make sure that we lock it. So we go ahead and we can actually change the files and how some of the things work. So going into our workspace folder, we can go to source and then main, and then we want to go to resources and then data and then our namespace, and then we want to go into world generation. And then in here, what we need to create is one called processor lists. So we need to first look at the game files and then set up the folder for that. So going into the data folder for the base game. Now, if you haven't extracted the game files already, then I suggest doing this because you'll need a copy of the game to begin with. But if you have the copy, then you can actually get the assets and stuff and see how things are laid out, as well as use it as an example files and stuff to kind of see how things work. So I created a processors _list folder, and then what I'm doing here is I'm going to go ahead and just look at some of these different files first. We're going to look at probably, let's see here, there's quite a few of them. So I'm just going to cover a couple of them, and we'll see what we can come up with from there. So there's farm planes, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Like the farm ones have to do with the village, how the plants and actually the farms actually replace the crops. And by default, it is just wheat when they generate their structure, and then it will generate, like, replace the wheat with the different types of crops and stuff like that. So there's that one. I'm just trying to figure out where the one for the villages are. I'm not entirely sure couldn't remember what ones are the villages. So we'll just go into a couple of these. We'll go into housing, I guess. That might be a probable one. So quick start of the files, and we're going to look at the config. This one I think has to do with the one of the structures in the nether, because there's polished blackstone. So I think this is a little bit of a different thing, not a village, but it has the same principles that we need. So basically what's going on here is these are the different rules that are basically going to generate basically randomize certain aspects of the structure. And there's a whole bunch of properties in between. We'll be covering little parts of these in a little bit. So for example, the input predict or pre something or other, that basically specifies the block of what it's going to be targeting. And then we're basically doing a Minecraft random block match, and then we're setting the probability of the chance of it being replaced. And then down below we have the output state, and that's basically what the block we're going to be replacing it with. The part between is always true, that I don't know too much about. I just know that it should be always true if you want it to run. I think there's certain properties. There's also a wiki page that I'll link down below, as well as the data pack page for Wiki, which is really important. You can find additional information about these particular files. I just don't have the time to read them at the moment. So there's that, and then there's like the farming one. So as you can see here, what it's doing is it's replacing wheat with a 2% chance, and then it's going ahead and setting the output state of beats, and then it's setting a property for that particular one. This is a little bit more advanced. We're not going to go in that in depth, but it's going to set the age to 0. And then the other one down here, what it's doing is it's going ahead and replacing wheat again and just setting it to a melon stem. So there's a couple different things. Again, the age is 0 for this one, and this is a 1% chance, or pardon me, 10% chance. So 20% and 1% for those. And then there's a whole bunch of other structure files in here that you can explore, and I'm sure there's more examples that you can kind of see how things work. This is how I usually learn from the files and stuff like that. I'll first seek out to see what the particular thing is and how it connects with other features, and then I go ahead and I usually go ahead into other files that are already in the game and then try to explore and figure out how things actually work. So there's a lot more different rotations and stuff in here. These are probably a really advanced one. Now this is for the zombified village. So basically when a zombie village spawns, this is the procedure that basically happens. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on in here. We're just going to crop all that stuff out, and we're going to go ahead and just select this part, and we're going to copy this a few times. This is going to be for our custom processor list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace this one with short grass, and then we can basically specify this as a plant that we want. So I have to look up the plant itself. I'm not sure what the plant I want to generate. So I'm going to go on to Minecraft Wiki and just type in flowers, and then I can get the IDs from here as well, so I don't have to keep going in game and then searching up the method. Usually there is the namespace down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go Minecraft torch flower, just because then we know we can actually see it. So I'm going to have like a 33% chance of it actually generating. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy that again, and we're going to go ahead and replace this one with hay block. And then what we can do is we can do some fun stuff with this. So what I want to do is I want to set this to like maybe a 33% chance, and we're going to copy this again, and we're going to paste this down here. And we're going to replace the blocks with melon blocks and pumpkin blocks, which will allow us to kind of give a randomized version of the procedure. So the hay bales will still be a chance of it being a hay bale, but it will be like a 33% chance of one of these blocks actually generating. So the percent is over all of them. So we have the 33% for... 34% for the hay bale to stay. We have a 33% for the pumpkin, and then we have a 33% for the melon. So that comes out to 100%, right? So think of 1 being 100% and 0 being 0%, and then that's your range that you want to go between. So again, I just wanted to make sure that the hay bale ID was set up properly. And hay block, yeah, because they say hay bale on Wiki, but it's actually hay block for the ID. So we want to make sure that that's correct, and that looks correct. And then for cobblestone, everything seems correct. Now the cobblestone's a little bit higher than what I should probably had. I wouldn't mind it to be about 50%, which is 0.5, but for the sake of the tutorial, it will do just fine for the thing. So the hay block, again, we're going with 33%. And then the short grass is also replacing the tall grass with like only a 33% chance of replacing it with one flower. So we're going to have like the 67% of it remaining as short grass. So again, all the information that you need for processor lists can be found on this page. I'll provide that in the description, and I'll also provide the page that I just got to this particular page from. So the data pack wiki page, which has a lot more information about all the different types of features Minecraft adds. So next thing is basically just saving your list, and we're going to put it into that new folder that we basically generated. So I'm going to basically copy this, and we're going to save this as, and then we're going to change our name. We're just going to call it structure, or maybe we'll go with my list, just so it's easier to identify when we're actually creating this. So we're going to save this to our folder here. I think I saved it to my desktop, so I'm going to grab that and put it in here, that folder that we just created. And then we're going to be removing some blocks. So what we need to do is we're going to go ahead into our processor list, and what we need to do is there is a certain thing that we needed to do because our structure blocks are in the procedure. For right now, we're basically using a rule, and I'm not sure how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the structure block, and we're going to set that to error so the villager can be basically allow the villager to start walking around. And we're going to set this to a random percent of 100%. So any structure blocks are in this particular procedure, we're just going to basically remove and replace it with Minecraft air. And then that way, when we go ahead and change our template pools, which we need to do this, we're going to remove all that, and we're going to replace the template pool with just where it says processors, and we're going to specify our list here. Now, the last part that's on this thing should not have a comma, as it's the last part of the JSON file entry. Anything at the end doesn't have commas, so if you have a comma at the end, make sure to delete that part. We're going to set this up for both of our processor or our template pools. So again, we're going to just select the part where it has all this part, where it says processor, and we're going to clean this up just so we can run our namespace and then our pool name or our processor list. And then what we can do is we can actually go in game and test this out. So that's really all there is to it. So I'm in game. I just loaded up a new world, and I'm going to be flying around just taking a look at some of the structures. So as you can see, the melons are there. We have some torch flowers. They're random. We have random blocks here. We have some of the hay bales that stayed. And like I said, the mossifying part of the cobblestone was a little bit too high. I wouldn't mind it being about 50% or 0.5, but it works. I mean, it still shows that it gets replaced, right? So yeah, so we got that. I'm just going to go between the structures. As you can see, it's completely random, so it's a great way to randomize your structures a lot more if you want to add finer details without needing to place down structure blocks or jigsaw blocks for adding different features and stuff. You can do it all through processor lists and randomize certain things and stuff like that. So that really helps with a lot of this stuff. Just keep in mind that it is completely random, so some things might not be fully capable. For example, if you have a larger component that you want to randomize the entire component, like keep all the hay bales one type of block, then you would probably need to use a jigsaw block. So just going over to some of these other structures, we can see how they're generating and stuff like that. These ones are a little bit easier to show because they're in the water. So yeah, as you can see, the moss and the pumpkins and everything are different, and so are the locations for the flowers. But yeah, overall, I like the look of how it turned out. We'll be covering a lot more advanced stuff later on, and you could even randomize, like the lights and stuff like that, remove the lights and stuff. But obviously for simplicity, I just wanted to basically demonstrate that the how the system works. Now, again, with the structure blocks, we had them there, and I just basically removed them through the processor list, so we could actually keep everything the same. Now, before, what it was doing, it was using rules to basically remove them, which we would have had to play around with different things. So I just basically specified the processor list and removed it through the processor list. So again, one last time, I'm going to be providing this particular wiki page, which has all the data pack information. And then we're also going to cover I'll link to the processor list page as well in the description, so you guys can read up on both of these pages and have quick links for those particular ones. But I have this friend that has their own server hosting company, and they have the lowest prices in the server hosting community, and they've given me a promo code to give to you guys. So if you want to get a good deal for the first month, then you can use the promo code Northwest for 45% off your first month. Offer expires July 19th, 2034. The link to their site is in the description.